Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I filmed a leg workout for you guys. So I think that leg workouts are probably my most requested workout video to do. I get a lot of questions like on how many sets I do, how many reps, what kind of weight, all that kind of stuff. So I filmed another leg workout and I thought I would just do like a sit down talking type video to explain like what I was doing at each movement and like how many sets we did and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, anyways, I'm just gonna jump right into it. I filmed this workout yesterday, so it's actually the following day that I'm filming the sit down part. But yeah, I'm pretty sore today. My legs are pretty tired, so it was a pretty good workout. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. So for this leg day, I focused a lot on trying to feel the movement or feel the burn as I was going through the movement. So sometimes if I'm like tired or I'm not having the best like mentality when I'm working out, I won't focus on like the mind muscle connection of when I'm doing a workout that, or I'm doing a movement that's supposed to like burn my butt. I won't be focusing on it and I won't get like the maximal, I don't even know how to describe it, but like I won't maximize the movement, I guess. So for this workout, I really tried to focus on what muscle I was trying to target and like picture that muscle in my mind. And when I was doing the movement, I was trying to focus on hitting that muscle specifically. Also list all the workout information, sets, reps, everything like that in the description. I always tell people, you know, you don't need to focus on a certain amount of sets or a certain amount of reps. Just make sure you go until it's really difficult. That's my rule of thumb. Because if you focus too much on hitting like 10 reps, what if you could get to 12, you know? So just kind of do what is really difficult for you and then you'll see growth. But yeah, I'll put what I did in the description below, but you don't have to follow it exactly. So we started out with Bulgarian split squats. So you have one foot in front of you and then your back foot is on the bench elevated, as you guys can see. And a tip for this movement is that the farther in front that your front leg is, the more of a burn you're gonna feel in your butt. And then the closer in your front leg is, the more you're gonna feel in your quads. So I usually kick out my front foot pretty far just because I'm pretty quad dominant in general, so I try not to like specifically target my quads when I do movements that I want to target my butt. So yeah, and then when you go down, you want to try to lower yourself using your glutes. So you don't want to just like fall down. It has to be a little bit controlled. So I'm trying to like lower myself using, so the front leg that's in front is going to be the working leg. And so I want to use the working leg and I want to use my glutes to kind of lower my body down. And then when I push back up, I want to push up through my heel. So if you push in through your heel, you'll actually feel it in your glutes a lot more. So that's what I do pretty much on every movement, lunges, squats, anything like that. I always push through my heel because that's where you're going to feel it in your hamstrings and your glutes. Bulgarian split squats, it's really easy to feel it in your quads, but if you focus solely on just using your glutes to pretty much control the movement, you're gonna feel it like a crazy amount. Whenever I talk on camera, I talk really fast and then I get out of breath. So that's what's happening to me. That's what's happening to me right now. The next movement we did was regular squats. So for this exercise, I'm sure you've seen it a million trillion times, but it took me a long time to get decent. Like my form's still not perfect, but it took me a long time to get decent form on squats. So the way I do it is, I know a lot of people like to keep their feet pretty wide when they squat, but for me it's easier if they're almost directly below my hips. Just pretty much put your feet wherever they feel comfortable. Like don't force yourself like out of your comfort zone to squat if it feels weird when your feet are super wide. You know, just squat in the position that you can and then possibly eventually like build into different feet positions. So yeah, I'll start with my feet pretty much just beneath my shoulders. And then when I'm squatting, how I try to like think about doing it is just think of your hips as like their own entity that you can move like however you want to. So when I'm doing a squat, what I think of is pushing my hips back first. So cock your hips back and then you want to just drop them down. So you don't want to drop down first because your knees and your hips probably aren't going to be in the right alignment. So I almost think of it as like pushing my butt kind of back into a wall and then dropping down. And you want to do it in like a fluid movement. As you can see like in the clips, it's not like I'm like popping my hips back and then waiting a second and then dropping down is more of like a fluid movement, but it also, like, I am thinking of that as I'm squatting so that I'm not just like dropping directly down. And then the next movement we did was actually just like pretty self-explanatory. It's just backwards lunges. So for this one, once again, the farther you place your back foot back, the more you're gonna feel it in your glutes. And then the closer that you put your back foot when you're lunging to your front leg, the more you're gonna feel it in your quads. So I always reach my back foot pretty far back so I can feel it in my glutes. And then same thing, you wanna push back up through your heel. You don't wanna use your back leg to help you get out of the lunge position. You should just kind of only be using your front leg. And then as you can also see in the clip, when I am bringing my foot back up to the starting position, I'm just resting it there briefly. It's not fully touching the ground. I'm not waiting 3 seconds. Like, it's pretty continuous. And my toe is really only touching the ground. My back foot toe is really only touching the ground at the top. And then it's going straight back into another lunge. So yeah, that one's pretty self-explanatory. Practice without weight first. The lunging position can be kind of weird. You kind of feel like you're off balance. It's also helpful if, like, when you're lunging, instead of having your feet like totally like this, if you stagger them, so this is your front leg, and you stagger them kind of wide, it makes it easier, at least for me, because like if your feet are kind of separated, then you have more of a, like, you're more stable. So that's what I kind of do, especially with the weight on your back. It's kind of hard if your legs are just like completely parallel. So yeah. So then after that, we moved on to the hack squat machine. And for this exercise, I actually did a drop set. So a drop set is where you complete a certain amount of reps with a heavier weight. And then after you've completed that amount of reps, you will drop the weight and then kind of just rep out the rest of it. So I don't ever really focus on how many reps I do after I drop the weight, but I do try to go from like 8 to 12 with the full weight on. And then once I drop it, I kind of just rep it out until I can't go anymore. So for this exercise, basically what you want to do is just keep, well, for me, I keep my feet high and wide, because the higher and wider and more pointed out your toes are, the more you feel it in your glutes. So if you want to hit your quads, you know, you want to put your feet more narrow and facing straight up. So I put my feet high and wide, and then you want to get a full range of motion. So after I drop the weight, I'm kind of almost just pulsing. I'm not fully performing the full hack squat, but when I have the full amount of weight on there, I do go fully down, fully up, pushing through your heels again to feel it in your glutes. And then once I've completed the amount of reps that I like, to where it gets really difficult, then I drop the weight and I start pulsing. So as you can see in the clip, I'm no longer fully getting a full range of motion. I am more just keeping a constant contraction in my glutes and just moving up and down in a lower range of motion. So I feel like this gets me the most burn, because the hack squat, it's easy to get to failure. It's easy to get to the point of failure. So in order to maximize the amount of reps that you can do, I just like dropping the weight, because you feel more burn and it's harder. So yeah, this one's really freaking difficult. So then after that, we moved on to sumo squats on the Smith machine. So I actually had never done them like this before. My friend who was filming me actually showed them to me. Usually on the Smith machine, I just do regular squats. I won't put my feet out super far in front of me or super wide. So doing them this way was really hard. Like, usually I can do upwards 45-pound plates on each side on the Smith machine, but we were doing 25s and it was really freaking hard. So basically, once again, like, this one's really self-explanatory. If you're not used to squatting, I would definitely recommend using the Smith machine, because it pretty much does the work in terms of form for you. So, and then you can also get more depth on the Smith machine, because there's not that fear that you're going to not be able to get the weight back up. You can always just re-rack it at whatever position you're in. Basically, just push through your heels again as you're going up and you're going down, just so you can feel the contraction in your glutes. And then as you can see in the clip, I'm getting pretty far down and then squeezing my butt at the top just to get that extra contraction, I guess you could say. And then I also have my feet far and wide out in front of me, which helped me feel it a lot in my glutes. Like, usually when I do squats on the Smith machine, I can only kind of feel it in my quads, but this was freaking killer. So for the last movement, we did hip thrusts on the Smith machine. And the reason why, usually I'll do hip thrusts and I'll do them free with just a barbell, but I like doing it on the Smith machine because I don't know how well you can tell in this clip, but I actually have my legs staggered. So I have one leg a little bit farther out in front of my planted leg. So This is pretty much just doing like a single leg hip thrust, but having my legs staggered helps me keep my balance. You basically only want to use the planted leg to bring the bar back up. So this is like really hard because I feel like usually when I do hip thrusts, I'm kind of using more of my right glute than my right glute and my right hamstring than my left glute and my left hamstring, because when I get to my left leg on this, like I am dying. So this helps because I feel like it helps me even out my glute imbalance, because I just think my right side is a lot stronger than my left. So yeah, you basically want to keep your legs staggered, and then the planted leg is the leg that you should be driving and using the force to get the weight back up. And then for me, what helps is I put my shoulder blades on the bench. So I know a lot of people get kind of like intimidated by setting this one up, because I know it is intimidating. Like when I first tried setting it up, I was like, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing. But you basically, I put my shoulder blades like so that the bench is like right here, and I feel like that gives me the most mobility, because then it's not on my spine, but it's also not actually on my shoulders either. And then I just put my hands to the side of the bar, as you can see, and as I am lowering down, I'm not totally releasing the pressure out of my glute. I'm keeping it contracted the whole way, and then I'm pushing through my heel again and pushing through my heel to bring the bar back up, holding it for a brief second and then letting it back down, still keeping the contraction in my glutes. So I'll keep my glutes contracted as I'm doing the movement at all times. So literally it's pretty much like 30 seconds of just death to one right butt cheek, and then 30 seconds of death to the left butt cheek. But you know what? It's what made me sore today. So if you want to try it, I would definitely recommend it, because it's also a lot easier to set up than the regular Smith machine. So yes. Anyways, I hope you guys liked the leg workout. Let me know if you want to see any other kind of workouts. I mean, leg day is literally like, I think 85% of people request to see leg day. So if you want to see something else, I mean, I do work out arms too. I work out back, I work out shoulders, I do some cardio circuits. So if you guys want to see any of that, I'd be down to film it, but I don't know if anyone wants to see it. So let me know. And yeah, I will see you in my next video.